The room was quiet, clothes scattered across the floor. The young man lay sprawled on the bed. His eyes were closed. He blinked awake, gaze hazy, dark hair disheveled. Pushing himself up on one elbow, he rubbed at his temple. He turned his head. And froze. A woman with long, snow-white hair lay beside him. Why is there a woman here? Shock washed over him as he tried to recall how he ended up there. A sudden vibration shattered the stillness. He grabbed his phone. His thoughts jumped to Zhao Jia after seeing the message. He clearly remembered their past, yet now, a message from her popped up on his phone. She was speaking as though they were still dating, her tone bold and familiar. This confused him even more. In his memory, not long after his freshman year of college, she had dumped him without mercy. Checking the date on his phone, Jiang Cheng froze. Zhao Jia had blocked him on WeChat in the past, so why was she messaging him now? The date itself stirred a chilling possibility. Had he been reborn? In his previous life, Zhao Jia had dismissed him coldly, complaining he was too slow to send red envelopes, offered no emotional value, didn't understand her, and didn't truly love her. She claimed to have found someone who understood and loved her more. Another man, clearly her new boyfriend, told Jiang Cheng to disappear so as not to make things awkward. He had once sworn to be with Zhao Jia forever, to cherish her. But reality struck hard. Her usual pattern was to invent excuses to demand money, the same old formula every time. He now realized how blind and shameless he had been back then. Determined to change his fate, Jiang Cheng decided there was no time like the present. He texted Zhao Jia, telling her it was over. She was shocked, stammering for clarification, but he repeated firmly that they should part ways due to incompatible values. Her final message was a bitter acceptance, warning him not to regret it. Internally, Jiang Cheng scoffed. Why would he give her the chance to betray him again? Suddenly, a strange system notification appeared. Host's firm and decisive nature detected. Congratulations, host, on activating the Dream Come True Tycoon system. Jiang Cheng was stunned. A Tycoon system? Could this really be the classic? Reborn with cheats. Starter pack? Information filled his vision: name, age, height, looks, and a simple, overpowered function, 0.1 yuan per second, which amounted to 8,640 yuan a day and 259,200 yuan a month. He was ecstatic. The system congratulated him again and offered to open a newbie gift pack. Without hesitation, he accepted. The rewards were staggering: a 10 million yuan supercar, a beginner's shop and crit card, max 1 million yuan per card, and a friendly scanner. His bank account showed an actual deposit of over 10 million yuan. Curious, he tested the scanner on the silver-haired woman beside him, Yu Xiao, age 25, with an impressive appearance score and privacy, 1, friendliness, 60, normal affinity. The other statistics were easy enough to interpret, but the privacy value puzzled him. Curious, he tapped on the privacy stat. A system prompt explained that it represented the total number of the most intimate encounters a person had experienced with the opposite sex. Realization struck him. If Yu Xiao's privacy was listed as 1, then she had only been with one man in her life, and that man was him. In his past life, around this time, Zhao Jia had ignored him, prompting him to drink alone at a bar. That night he met Yu Xiao, who was also drinking in misery. Though she gave him her first time, her friendliness score of 60 revealed it wasn't love, just a drunken impulse. Yu Xiao woke up, covering herself, and observed Jiang Cheng with a curious gaze. She remarked that his sigh, followed by a bitter smile and a shake of the head, looked exactly like the way he had been drinking last night, as if he were born to be sentimental. Jiang Cheng calmly replied that he wasn't reminiscing about the past. Internally, however, he marveled that even this kind of casual banter seemed to trigger the system. She asked why he was awake in the middle of the night, sighing like that. Jiang Cheng answered that he was simply lamenting why they hadn't met sooner, then leaned in with a teasing smile, inviting her to feel for herself if she didn't believe him. Yu Xiao thought to herself that he was such a flirt, and yet she couldn't resist. The system chimed in, rewarding him for driving too fast. With 2 items, a supercar purchase crit card and the agile tongue skill, described as enhancing every cell of the tongue to make it more flexible and powerful. Jiang Cheng smirked between moments, telling her that the real closeness had only just begun. The following day, Jiang Cheng awoke and stretched, only to glance beside him in surprise. The bed was empty, and a thick stack of banknotes lay scattered on the sheets. Judging by the amount, it was no small sum. A note rested on top. "Thank you for your hospitality. I was very satisfied last night. This is the payment you earned." Jiang Cheng chuckled to himself as he dressed. Yu Xiaoxiao was truly an interesting woman, giving him her first time, then paying him for it. Unfortunately, he hadn't gotten her contact information. He turned his focus to the crit card he'd received. The idea intrigued him. Spending money could trigger a crit. Did that mean more money? Experience points? Or perhaps rare rewards like equipment drops in a game? If he simply bought the 10 million yuan supercar, the maximum 50-fold cashback could net him 500 million. But if he first used his 5 beginner crit cards to build up enough funds, then bought an even more expensive supercar, the cashback could be astronomical. This was his second chance at life. With the cheat system in hand, he had no intention of letting it go to waste. He vowed to become a world-famous tycoon and to write his own legend in this world. He calculated that there was still plenty of time before certain major tech giants rose to prominence. If he could gather enough seed money to purchase a large number of founders' shares early, it could be the key to fulfilling his soaring ambitions. Stepping outside and approaching his car, he considered another opportunity. In Rongqing, property purchases were unrestricted as long as no bank loans were involved, a perfect use for his 1 million yuan crit cards. As he prepared to get in the car, a purple-haired woman standing nearby called out to him. She asked if the supercar was his, and when he confirmed, she leaned against it, speaking in a seductive tone. She claimed she was in a hurry to get home due to a burst sewer pipe and asked if he could give her a ride. Activating the friendly scanner, Jiang Cheng read her stats: Chen Liqui, age 23, privacy, 28, friendliness, 90, intimate. He noted privately that a privacy count that high was within expectations, but a friendliness score that high toward a stranger was excessive. Without giving her the answer she hoped for, he walked toward his car. From inside, he remarked dryly that being among 28 like-minded people was too crowded for his taste. He then started the engine and drove away. Chen Liqui, left behind and visibly annoyed, was shocked. How could he possibly know she had been with 28 men? After MC is gone, she remarked under her breath about how handsome he was. Nearby, an old man stood frozen, his expression blank. After a moment, the old man perked up, offering to help the woman with her pipes. He proudly declared that he had been a professional plumber for 30 years, his chest puffing out slightly with pride. The woman's face twisted in disgust. Without hesitation, she snapped at him, calling him a pervert and a creep. The old man blinked in confusion, his brow furrowing. He couldn't understand why she was yelling. His technique was top-notch. As she stormed off, the old man trailed behind, still baffled, while the surrounding crowd burst into laughter at the absurd scene. Just then, another man stepped forward, clapping the old-timer on the shoulder. He explained, with a mix of pity and amusement, that the woman's pipes hadn't been literal. The old man's eyes widened in realization. Shaking his head, he muttered about how weird kids were these days before shuffling away. Meanwhile, the woman hurried off, grumbling under her breath about her terrible luck and how everything had gone wrong that day. At the same time, the MC pulled up in a sleek sports car outside a real estate agency. He stepped out with effortless confidence, his sharp attire and demeanor immediately catching attention. Inside, 2 agents, a nervous newbie named Xiao Xia and her dismissive boss, watched his approach. The manager, assuming he was just another spoiled rich kid, decided to pawn him off on Xiao Xia to avoid wasting his own time. With a smirk, the boss nudged the newbie forward, telling her to handle it alone and just follow the procedures they had practiced. Xiao Xia swallowed her nerves and approached the MC, introducing herself in a slightly shaky voice. "Hello, sir. I'm Xiao Xia from the Lianjia Real Estate Agency. How can I assist you today?" The young man cut straight to the point. "Help me find a house." Xiao Xia nodded eagerly before asking about his budget. From a distance, the manager took a slow drag of his cigarette, watching with detached amusement. He thought to himself that the newbie really needed to learn how to pick her clients better. Once inside the agency, Xiao Xia pulled up a few modest listings, assuming the MC would be interested in cheaper options. However, he interrupted her, his tone casual yet firm. Show me properties in the 1 million yuan range. Her eyes widened in shock, but she quickly composed herself, typing rapidly into her tablet. Oh, of course. Right away, sir. After a few minutes of scrolling through listings, Xiao Xia suddenly remembered to ask if the client had any location preferences. The MC leaned back in his chair, considering the question. He explained that he wanted properties that would be easy to rent out, whether furnished or unfurnished didn't matter to him. As he spoke, he studied the young agent. She was clearly inexperienced, fumbling slightly with her tablet, but there was a sincerity in her efforts that he appreciated. Deciding to trust her, he discreetly activated his system scanner to assess her potential value. Xiao Xia, unaware of his scrutiny, pulled up several options near a bustling commercial street, their prices ranging from modest to premium. The MC mentally reviewed his starter card's limit 1 million yuan per property, and calculated his next move. Noticing his silence, she hesitated. Are these not what you're looking for? He shook his head. No, it's not that. His mind was elsewhere, strategizing how to maximize the bonus from his card. After a beat, he looked up. Can the prices on the higher-end units be negotiated? If so, I'll take all 5. Xiao Xia's fingers froze midway. All 5? He doubled down, his tone casual yet firm. If you can get each for 1 million flat, I'll pay in cash today. The agent's breath itched. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. 5 properties? Cash? Her commission alone would be. Before she could spiral, the MC continued, I'll also hire you to manage the rentals. Xiao Xia's shock melted into exhilaration. I'll get you that price. Nearby, the manager, who had been eavesdropping, his earlier smirk vanished as bitter regret twisted his gut. A cash deal for 5 properties? He'd handed this whale to the newbie like spare change. He wanted to slap himself. An hour later, the manager, now in a hastily donned suit, presented the finalized contract with a flourish. The total, 5 million yuan. The MC signed without hesitation. I trust you'll handle this well, he said to Xiao Xia. I'll contact you for future purchases. Her eyes sparkled. Future purchases? Just what kind of tycoon was this? As the ink dried, the MC's system pinged. Plus 230 million yuan returned. His balance skyrocketed, his earnings now ticking up nearly 1 yuan per second. A smirk tugged at his lips. Xiao Xia had been his lucky star indeed. He motioned for her to join him in a private corner, ignoring the manager's curious stare. The older man hissed at Xiao Xia, invite him to dinner. Thank him properly. But the MC had other plans. Stick with me, he said, his voice low, and you'll live in luxury. Xiao Xia's cheeks burned. Was this a proposition? I am flattered, but... He cut her off. Give me your bank account number. Confusion flickered across her face. Why? Call it a thank you, he said simply. You were my lucky star today. Xiao Xia could only stare, utterly lost. A few minutes later, she received the notification and was shocked by the amount he had transferred. The protagonist smiled. To him, that sum was mere pocket change compared to what he had earned with her help. As a result, her friendship with him skyrocketed, and she immediately invited him to dinner as a gesture of gratitude. He mused silently about how effective money was at boosting relationships, and how much he enjoyed watching the numbers climb. They exchanged WeChat contacts, and the woman couldn't help but notice how strikingly handsome and attractive he was. The observation led her to briefly fantasize about him, a thought she found herself surprisingly open to. However, he merely thanked her for her work, politely said his goodbyes, and informed her he was leaving. His abrupt departure caught her off guard. Stunned, she refused to believe what had just happened. Before she could process it, she dashed after him, desperately calling his name. But by then, he was already inside his sports car. With a final smile and a casual wave, he drove off, leaving her standing alone on the sidewalk. Embarrassment crept over her as she struggled to understand why his departure had left such a hollow ache in her chest. 20 minutes later, the protagonist arrived home and announced his arrival to his mother, who had been waiting for him. His mother greeted him with a slice of cold watermelon, while his father inquired about his upcoming graduation trip. The young man explained that he planned to visit Modu, wanting to familiarize himself with the area around the university he would soon attend. His father approved of the decision and instructed his wife to transfer the travel funds to their son. Amused, his mother teased that spoiling him so much might make it difficult for him to find a wife in the future. Irritated, he asked her not to bring up the subject. Internally, he vowed not to disappoint them as he had in his past life. The next day, the protagonist was already aboard his flight, grumbling about having purchased his ticket last minute. As he maneuvered through the narrow aisle, he politely requested other passengers to make room. Spotting a familiar woman, he called out to her, Zoing, who recognized him instantly. He confirmed that the seat beside her was his, and coincidentally, she mentioned hers was the adjacent window seat. Grateful, she thanked him as she squeezed past to settle in. Suddenly, a bespectacled man appeared, interrupting their conversation in an attempt to flirt with Zoing. Ignoring the intrusion, the protagonist suggested she take the inner seat instead. The stranger protested, insisting that passengers couldn't simply switch seats mid-flight. Without hesitation, the protagonist shut him down, stating coldly that they were together, and their seating arrangement was none of his concern. Once seated, the persistent stranger ignored the earlier rebuff and asked Zoing about her reason for visiting Modu. She replied curtly that it was for work, then turned to the protagonist with the same question. He answered casually that he'd been bored at home, and decided to take a relaxing vacation. Undeterred, the bespectacled man, who introduced himself as Chuanshin, announced he was also traveling to Modu. With exaggerated pride, he offered her a ride, boasting that his father had arranged a private car for his arrival. The protagonist declined on their behalf, mentioning their hotel provided airport pickup service. When Chuanshin pressed for details, he revealed they were staying at the Omni Onion. The intruder's jaw went slack as he repeated the name of the ultra-luxurious, billion-dollar resort. Skeptical, he argued that standard rooms didn't include such services, only for the protagonist to clarify he booked an entire villa. "You're serious? A villa?" Chuanshin sputtered in disbelief. Zhou Ying's eyes widened. "A single night there costs 80,000. She murmured, studying the young man with newfound interest. "I had no idea you were that wealthy." With an amused smile, he countered by saying there is other rich kid in this row. The remark triggered his memory. Zoing had been their school's top student, her family among the city's most prominent. Back then, her quiet intensity and academic focus had deterred potential suitors. He'd been too preoccupied with his ex-girlfriend to notice, though he'd later heard rumors of her family's financial struggles. Zhou Ying's expression darkened as she admitted she wasn't really a rich kid anymore. The young man immediately recognized his misstep and deftly shifted the conversation to their shared high school memories. As they reminisced, her laughter gradually returned. She admitted those were good times, her mood visibly lifting. Sensing the tension ease, he discreetly activated his system interface. The display showed her privacy at 0% and friendship level at 75, surprisingly high for someone he just reconnected with. He wondered if she'd already been interested in him back then. Their conversation carried them through the flight until touchdown. At the airport, a poised woman in a tailored suit approached and introduced herself as Wang Yuan, his personal butler. Her impeccable demeanor lived up to the Omni-Angian's sterling reputation. He asked Zoing where she was staying. When she mentioned crashing with a friend in Pudong, he insisted they drop her off first. His butler smoothly arranged the detour. From the terminal, Chuanshin watched helplessly, his fantasy of playing White Knight evaporating as the luxury vehicle pulled away. 25 minutes later, they arrived at Zhou Ying's destination. She thanked him while tucking a strand of hair behind her ear and asked for his contact information, saying she owed him dinner. He grinned while saving her number, and teased her not to forget that promise. As his car departed, meanwhile Chuanshin's car pulled up behind them, he muttered, "That idiot just let a goddess walk away." And there goes my romantic night. The protagonist mused that every yuan had been well spent. Wang Yuan appeared with perfect timing to inform him his bath was prepared. Nodding, he headed to wash away the journey's fatigue, already planning his next moves. The protagonist tensed as unexpected hands gripped him from behind. Startled, he spun to face the butler, demanding an explanation for her sudden approach. Wang Yuan calmly explained that her duties included assistance with undressing, she clarified smoothly, stepping back. But undergarments were his responsibility. In the steaming hot springs, he studied her poised figure. Wait, she was scrubbing his back too? It was included, she affirmed, though her tone hinted at boundaries. Not a full wash. As warmth seeped into his muscles, he couldn't deny her allure. A special service might have been. His thoughts scattered thinking about special service. She only did this when she felt a connection, she murmured. The steam curled between them as he absorbed her undisguised beauty, momentarily speechless. 5 minutes later, as Wang Yuan finished scrubbing Jiang Cheng's back, she politely informed him about the evening's reception at the Aman Yangyan Hotel. She emphasized his status as a super VIP and inquired about his interest in attending. When Jiang Cheng asked about the theme, she explained it was an internal gathering hosted by platinum guests, featuring a jewelry auction. He nodded at her clarification that no dress code was required. After his bath, Jiang Cheng arrived at the reception, where staff greeted him. Yuan introduced him to staff. This is Mr. Jiang Cheng, a distinguished guest of Villa Titanium Carp. Wang Yuan offered a final professional smile. We'll leave you to enjoy the evening's festivities. The auction was already underway, the atmosphere lively. The next item, a Richard Mille watch, was introduced as a global limited edition, one of only 10 pieces. The auctioneer announced the starting bid at 15 million yuan, with increments of 5 million. Jiang Cheng observed the frenzy. To him, the watch was undervalued. Its secondary market price could exceed 25 million within years. A 10 million bargain, he mused. Bidding escalated rapidly. Bidder 35, 15.5 million. Bidder 8, 16 million. Bidder 35, 18 million. Gasps filled the room. Who's this bidder 35? Insane, muttered a guest. Another scoffed, better buy 2 pateks for that price. The gavel fell, 18 million, sold to bidder 35. Afterward, 2 rich second-generation men, Wang Jing and Qin Fen, approached Jiang Cheng with the confident swagger of Shanghai's elite. Wang Jing, the first to extend his hand, introduced himself with casual charm. His companion Qin Fen offered a more reserved greeting. Qin Fen revealed he'd been the mysterious bidder 8. Brother Jiang clearly has excellent taste in watches, he remarked, giving Jiang Cheng's shoulder a pat that was both friendly and assessing. When Jiang Cheng admitted this was his first luxury watch purchase, Qin Fen burst into laughter. First purchase at 18 million? At your age I was still begging my father for allowance. His arms slipped around Jiang Cheng's shoulders with practiced ease. We must show you Shanghai's real nightlife, Brother Jiang. As the conversation concluded with promises of future meetings, Jiang Cheng's system suddenly updated. Level up! System reserve, 367,280 yuan, withdrawable anytime. New income, 1 yuan per second, almost equals 2.59 million yuan monthly. Jiang Cheng exhaled. His annual earnings now exceeded 30 million, though to his ambitions, this remained insignificant. Before Jiang Cheng could process this, a familiar voice cut through the crowd. Yu Xiao Xiao, the woman from his previous encounter, stood before him with raised eyebrows. You! She exclaimed, pointing at Jiang Cheng. I thought you were some poor student, not a tycoon playing dress-up. Jiang Cheng, grabbing her waist, reminded Yu Xiao Xiao that he was indeed a student. With a playful tone, he requested her care once more, mentioning that the auction was nearly over and he had booked a villa nearby. He invited her to join him. Xiao Yu's cheeks flushed pink as she looped her arm through Jiang Cheng's. She admitted she'd had quite a bit of wine already, but playfully demanded he put in more effort than last time. Just as they were about to leave, someone suddenly rushed over, Zhang Yu, Yu Xiao's ex-fiancé, shouting at her to stop and demanding to know what she was doing. Yu Xiaoxiao looked disgusted and asked Zhang Yu why he was there again, coldly stating that her actions were none of his business. Zhang Yu retorted, reminding her that they were supposed to get married soon. Yu Xiaoxiao sneered and questioned whether he had any sense of shame, pointing out that he was with her best friend yet still insisting on marriage. She asked if there was something wrong with his head. Zhang Yu sneered in return, dismissing her words as useless. He argued that since the engagement party had already taken place, she had no choice but to marry him. Yu Xiaoxiao immediately flung his hand away, calling him disgusting. She accused him of not actually liking her but only clinging to her as a cover so he could freely meet his mistresses, or, as she sarcastically added, his boyfriend. Suddenly, a robotic voice chimed in, addressing its host. It presented two choices. Leave alone and receive a limited edition Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cosplay outfit worth 250 yuan. Slap Zhang Yu twice and receive a triple boost to all body attributes along with a misfortune card. Jiang Cheng's eye twitched in disbelief. He asked the system if it was joking, sarcastically questioning whether he looked like someone who would cosplay as a turtle. He then clarified, asking if the triple boost included that aspect. The robotic voice confirmed that it covered strength, speed, physique, eyesight, hearing, recovery ability, resilience, and all physical aspects. Without hesitation, Jiang Cheng lunged forward and slapped Zhang Yu twice, remarking that the decision required no thought. He added that he despised those who weren't manly men or womanly women, accusing them of corrupting national customs. Stunned by the slaps, Zhang Yu yelled for security, demanding they arrest Jiang Cheng for assault. When the guards arrived, they tried to mediate, suggesting they talk it out peacefully instead of escalating the situation. Furious, Zhang Yu accused them of being blind and threatened to call the police himself, vowing to sue and have them fired. The security guards knew that anyone who could attend auction was incredibly wealthy, and offending any of them would be disastrous. Yu Xiaoxiao leaned into Jiang Cheng reassuringly, telling him not to be afraid. She whispered that if Zhang Yu called the police, she would claim he had been harassing her, and that Jiang Cheng had only acted in her defense. Jiang Cheng chuckled inwardly, surprised that Yu Xiaoxiao was standing up for him. Meanwhile, Zhang Yu's face turned purple with rage. He snapped that the hotel had cameras everywhere and threatened to review the footage, vowing that whoever bullied him would regret it. Just then, a panicked scream cut through the air. In the distance, a man was wildly swinging a knife, chasing a group of people while shouting obscenities. He ranted about his family member cheating and the hotel refusing to disclose information due to customer confidentiality. Now, he had one demand: either they brought out the cheating couple, or he would slash everyone in sight. Zhang Yu paled at the sight, his voice trembling as he muttered, "Hero, have mercy." Then, realizing begging wouldn't save him, he abruptly changed tactics and barked at the security guards, demanding they find the people the attacker wanted. The robotic voice chimed in again, announcing a sudden special event and presenting Jiang Cheng with two choices. Escape quickly with Yu Xiaoxiao and receive 300 yuan in cash. Step forward to help the victims, stop the criminal, and gain +5 face value points along with the godly milking skill, a special massage technique designed to deepen romantic relationships after the initial affection stage. Jiang Cheng hesitated. Stopping the criminal would mean saving Zhang Yu, which he despised, but the safety of others, and the tempting reward, pushed him to act. Before moving, he felt the triple body boost from earlier kick in. His entire body surged with power. Especially down there, the effect unmistakable. Then, in a flash, he lunged forward with lightning speed, punched the attacker square in the face, and slammed him into the wall, knocking him unconscious. Yu Xiaoxiao gaped in shock. He wasn't just a rich second-generation heir, he was a superhuman. As for Zhang Yu, his face cycled between green and white, utterly terrified.
After the fight, Jiang Cheng casually shook out his hand and adjusted his sleeves, his movements effortless, as if swatting away a fly rather than taking down a grown man. The crowd around them erupted in murmurs, eyes wide with admiration. One bystander gasped, "Wow, did you see that? He took that guy out in like 2 moves." Another chimed in, "Not just strong, did you get a look at his face? That's some next-level hero material right there." A third added, brave and ridiculously good-looking? Unfair. Soon, the police arrived, escorting the groaning troublemaker away. One officer, a seasoned-looking man with a no-nonsense air, nodded approvingly at Jiang Cheng. "Comrade, we owe you our thanks. If you hadn't stepped in when you did, things could have gotten ugly." Just then, Zhang Yu came storming over, his face twisted in outrage. "Officer, I want to report an assault." He jabbed a finger at Jiang Cheng. "This guy attacked me. Everyone here saw it. He's violent, unstable. Don't let that pretty face fool you." The officer raised an eyebrow and turned to the crowd. "Is this true? Did this man strike him unprovoked?" Before anyone else could speak, Yu Xiaoxiao stepped forward, her voice steady but edged with quiet fury. "Officer, that's not what happened." And just like that, the whole story spilled out. Zhang Yu's deceit, his sham engagement to her, the way he played her for a fool. As she spoke, her voice wavered, the weight of humiliation and betrayal pressing down on her. Jiang Cheng watched the 90 floating above her head, favorability, inescapable love, and smirked inwardly. Perfect. Seeing Yu Xiaoxiao's trembling lips, he pulled her into his arms, his voice a low murmur against her ear. "It's over. He won't lay a finger on you again." The officer dismissed by saying, "Sounds like a personal dispute. Maybe you all should sit down and—" "Misunderstanding." Zhang Yu spluttered. "There's surveillance here. Check the footage." Jiang Cheng's eyes narrowed. "Still running his mouth, even now? Fine. Let's see how he likes the misfortune card." With a mental command, the system activated. Almost instantly, Zhang Yu's phone rang. "Sir, 200,000 yuan was just withdrawn from your West Heron bank account. We suspect fraudulent activity." "What?" "No, I didn't." Zhang Yu's face drained of color. "That's my money. Stop the transaction." Before he could even process that disaster, a flustered waitress rushed over. Sir? Is your license plate 3838? A car just crashed into a tree, and well, the tree landed on your Audi." Zhang Yu's jaw dropped. "My car." He took off running without another word, the officer calling after him, "Sir, do you need assist?" "Not now." Jiang Cheng smirked. "Karma's a delight, isn't it?" He turned to Yu Xiaoxiao. "Let's go." 5 minutes later in the hotel room, Yu Xiaoxiao's fingers trembled slightly as she undid the buttons of Jiang Cheng's shirt, her voice soft. "Let me check. I need to make sure you're not hurt." He chuckled, catching her wrist. "That trash couldn't lay a scratch on me if he tried." She hesitated, then whispered, "Do you think less of me for having someone like him as a fiancé?" Jiang Cheng tilted her chin up. "Why would I? I'm just surprised a girl like you was ever tied to a worm like that." Yu Xiaoxiao exhaled, the words spilling out. "It was for my grandfather. He was dying, and he wanted to see me settled. I never knew Zhang Yu was like that. I mean bisexual." Jiang Cheng pulled her close, his voice a low promise. "You don't have to explain. I'm here now. I will treat you right." Her breath hitched as she nodded, and then, well. The night passed in a blur of tangled sheets and muffled gasps. Next morning, the maids arrived to clean the room, only to freeze at the sight before them. One of them whistled. "Damn. Youth these days have stamina." Her co-worker fanned herself. "If my husband had even half that energy, I'd never make it to work on time. My legs'd be jelly for a week." The first maid poked at a suspiciously crumpled corner of the sheet and smirked. "Oh, this girl definitely had fun. That hottie's got the face of an idol and the skills of a romance novel hero." Meanwhile at the coffee shop, Jiang Cheng scrolled through moments and froze on a post, Li Shudong flashing a luxury watch with the caption, "Thanks Mom for the coming-of-age gift." He turned to Yu Xiaoxiao with sudden inspiration. "Xiaoxiao, can I borrow your leg for a photo?" Yu Xiaoxiao blinked. "What?" "For my 18th coming-of-age celebration post. Everyone's showing off gifts and I've got nothing." She burst out laughing. "You ridiculous little brother." "Fine." Striking a series of poses, she draped one leg over the chair, black stockings gleaming under the cafe lights. Jiang Cheng snapped away, mentally crowing. "Who needs a Mercedes when I've got this sports car?" He posted the best shot immediately. The reactions poured in. Cheng damn it Jiang Cheng. Morning wood wasn't enough? Now this. Zhao Sun, mom's condo gift suddenly feels worthless. I too want a leggy big sister. Li Zirwei, now this is a real coming-of-age gift. Wang Huqing, cries into body pillow, why must you flex on us virgins? At the Ferrari dealership, a saleswoman rushed over. Welcome, sir. Shall I show you around? Jiang Cheng waved her off. Just browsing. Nearby, a heated conversation caught his attention. General Manager Huang loomed over a delicate woman. Suwen, if you like this car, I'll buy it for you right now. The woman edged away. That's unnecessary, General Manager. Huang pressed closer. Let me drive you to set every day. As long as you agree. The female lead role will of course be yours, Jiang Cheng. Eavesdropping. I came to look at cars, but I ended up watching a good show. Jiang Cheng suddenly realized, this was Su Wen. In just a few years, she would become one of the entertainment industry's 4 rising stars, the very same actress who would later stun audiences with her iconic poolside bikini photo shoot titled The Other Side. General Manager Huang pressed his advantage, insisting, 1, here's my offer. If you like this car, I'll buy it for you right now. Then we can go for that drink. Su Wen immediately withdrew her hand from his grasp. General Manager Huang, she replied firmly, my preferences really don't matter here. Besides, I have that company meeting to attend. The manager's patience evaporated as he issued his threat. A minor celebrity like you should learn to appreciate opportunities when they're offered. Suwon, let me make this clear, either you stay with me, or consider this investment cancelled. Su Wen's brow furrowed in frustration. General Manager Huang, she began. The manager cut her off with a loud outburst. What's with this act? I'm being generous with my time here. Humph. You have 2 choices, either prepare yourself properly for me, or prepare to have all your professional engagements suspended. Clenching her jaw, Suwen stood her ground. General Manager Huang, whether you invest or not, my answer remains unchanged. I won't comply with your demands. As Jiang Cheng observed this confrontation, System's voice suddenly resonated in his mind, announcing the activation of a special mission.
The mission is to help Swan and secure a contract with her. He guessed that the first step was proving he actually had the money. So he raised his voice a little and asked a saleswoman nearby about the requirements for buying a LaFerrari. She explained calmly that it was a limited production model and buyers had to already own 5 cars from the brand. Hearing that, he smiled and asked if she meant he wasn't qualified to buy one. She hesitated and said it wasn't impossible, just tricky. Off to the side, the bald old man narrowed his eyes, suddenly wondering which wealthy family this kid came from. Even the actress looked stunned. Not even Ba Song would casually buy a $3 million car, yet this guy wanted the priciest one. The saleswoman added that customizations could push the price to 50 million yuan. The MC simply nodded, saying the amount was fine. She hurried off to fetch the manager. Moments later, the manager arrived, along with a familiar blonde guy from a recent auction. Once he spotted the MC, the blonde practically lit up, greeting him like an old buddy. The MC casually explained he'd just gotten into town and needed a car since he hated being without one. The blonde raised a brow, joking that this was next-level humble bragging. Then he pointed at the watch on the MC's wrist, a piece worth 18 million, and announced that the manager had stumbled into a massive sale. The MC stood with an easy confidence, subtly letting the accessory catch the dealership's attention. The manager nearly froze, realizing this wasn't just a rich customer, this was extremely rich. He promised the credit check was purely routine and started the purchase paperwork immediately. Watching from afar, both the actress and the furious old man were speechless. The blonde, calculating quickly, estimated the MC's fortune to be well over 100 million. Losing interest in the car, the bald old man pressured the actress again, demanding she join him for drinks. When she refused because of a meeting, he gave her a final warning, either she went with him, or she could forget her career, then stormed off. Once he left, the MC called out the actress's name. She turned, surprised he was speaking to her. Introducing himself as Jiang Cheng, he said he'd invest in her project now that the old man had backed out. She could hardly believe it, thinking he might be the miracle she needed. He said they'd discuss details tomorrow. She asked for his number, they exchanged contacts, and she left after promising to see him the next day. When he asked the manager how long the car would take, he was told at least a year. That delay dampened his mood, but the blonde friend mentioned an upcoming car show where he could pick up a vehicle immediately. The MC agreed. Later, he arrived at a high-end restaurant where a blonde woman beckoned him over with a bright wave. She took his hand, led him to the table, and insisted he try the restaurant's signature crab roe rice. The dishes kept coming, each fancier than the last, and their atmosphere grew quietly intimate. Leaning close, he whispered that he only wanted a special night with her. She murmured that she needed rest after everything that happened. He said he'd allow it, if she called him by a more affectionate nickname. She kissed him gently and called him husband, which instantly satisfied him. With an adorable expression, she said he was the best for being so considerate. When he asked if she knew Swan, she nodded and said they worked under the same company. But her expression dimmed slightly as she asked whether he was falling for the other woman. He explained it wasn't exactly that. He simply saw real potential in Swan back at the dealership. The blonde agreed, saying Swan was talented but undervalued. She offered to help him get closer to Swan any time he needed. He chuckled, calling her silly, and assured her that he'd take good care of all the women by his side. When she brought up the investment, he confirmed he planned to go through with it. She warned he'd have to open a company and buy out Swan's contract. He told her not to worry, he'd even put her in charge of the new agency. Flustered, she refused the offer of shares, saying a decent salary was enough and would boost her career. He lightly scolded her, reminding her there was no need for formality between them. She moved closer, cupping his face gently, and whispered with teary eyes that life felt meaningless before him, and only now did she feel alive. As he hugged her, a message from Swan popped up, asking for the meeting location. Next day, the young man showed up right on time for the meeting, and the actress hopped into his car with a cheerful greeting. She casually asked where they were heading, and he told her they were off to a luxury hotel for an EV investment meeting. Once they arrived, she asked about the drama project, only to hear it was a small production with a tiny budget. The moment he heard the number, 5 million, his excitement instantly drained, and he wondered aloud how good a low-budget show could even be. The actress tried to sway him back, saying the story was solid and the production turnaround fast. She pulled out the script, but he waved it away, saying he only cared about the investment itself. Then, to her shock, he said he could wire the money right on the spot. She hadn't met an investor like him before, but he added one condition: she'd need to sign under his company as an artist. She reminded him she was already under contract, and that breaking it would cost a lot. But he brushed it off like it wasn't an issue. She found him handsome but couldn't help wondering if he had motives. She even asked if he even had an entertainment company. He coolly said he'd create one if she agreed. He added that her current agency didn't appreciate her anyway, so he'd pay the termination fee and build a new company centered entirely around her. Her affection for him rose noticeably, and she shyly asked if he had any special requirements. He simply told her she had to behave like a proper artist, no sketchy interactions with others, but he'd make an exception for himself. Her fondness rose again, and she asked when they'd sign. He told her to call him boss. Amused, she asked how old he even was, joking that he looked more 18 than 20. He smirked that his mind had been somewhere else, and she called him a little devil. Food arrived, and she thanked him, but he said the only thanks he wanted was to see her become a star. Right then, the system notified him that he'd secured the contract and earned 20% of a company's shares. While eating, he wondered how to break the news to his parents so they wouldn't panic when he came home loaded with money. He called his dad, who praised his sharp eye and quick success. His dad even calculated his yearly income, while his mom joked that he couldn't stop bragging to friends about his son. When the young man asked if they wanted presents, his father reminded him to stay grounded. After the call, he asked the actress if she wanted to go shopping. She agreed, teasingly calling him her sugar daddy. They finished their meal, she wiped her mouth, and he confirmed they were heading to the mall. At the entrance of an ultra-luxury watch store, an employee welcomed them, leaving the actress wide-eyed. Inside, she spotted someone she knew, Linu, an older, well-established actress, standing beside a wealthy man. She called out a greeting, and Linu, caught off guard, muttered that she was just accompanying a friend. The older man's gaze shifted to the young guy beside her, praising him as quite a talented, handsome one.
This guy awakened as a S-rank farmer. In a world where everyone gets a shiny, dramatic awakening at a certain age, fire mages, sword gods, lightning prodigies, you name it. And then there's Timu. Yeah. In a world full of monster attacks, city-destroying disasters, and people casually tossing around magic nukes, he pulled the "congrats, you can grow tomatoes" card. Everyone took one look at his so-called blessing and basically pre-wrote his obituary. A farmer's skill? Here? That's not an awakening, that's a threat from the universe. But nah. He didn't flinch. Because his plants weren't regular vegetables. These things had attitudes. Every crop he grew came with its own special ability, some fought, some defended, some straight-up tanked blows that would fold professional hunters. His field looked like a peaceful little garden until you realized every leaf in there was ready to commit homicide on command. While the rest of the world chased glory with swords, spells, and ego problems, he built an army from the dirt under his feet. And that useless farmer awakening? Yeah, it was just the beginning.